And good morning to you all, and welcome to the starting lineup. Delighted to have you with us on an absolutely beautiful Tuesday in the Ozark. Ned Reynolds joined by
Scott Purry.
And for the next 2 hours, we are right here talking sports and whatever. I'd like to hear from you at 417-447-1021. That is the line for both phone and text. You have your choice of what you want to do. 447-1021. Starting lineup brought to you by Play It Again Sports, Fremont Shopping Center, Battlefield in Fremont, Springfield. Great deals for you at Play It Again Sports. At Swing Right Golf, which is at the south end of Campbell Avenue, a little bit north of Nixa. And indeed, Swing Right Golf is right there for your pleasure and your practice. Marshfield Chevrolet at I-44. It's the exit off I-44, a couple of left turns, and you're there at Marshfield Chevrolet. And Citizens Bank of Rogersville with two locales, two routes, as they like to call them. One is adjacent to Highland Springs, and the other is in Rogersville itself. Tough night for the USA. I love the media. All sorts of reasons why they lost. They lost because Belgium was a better team.
Yeah, they're just not as good as we thought they were. I was trying to think of a proper analogy, and it's going to piss some people off, but I'm used to that. The Team USA soccer was basically Mizzou football last night.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that could change this year. I think this may be their most talented team. By the way, we're talking to Phil Steele at 8. We'll find out more. But Mizzou football, their non-conference schedule every year, and it's been getting a little bit better, but it's awful. and they're beating up on Massachusetts and Buffalo.
Do you see who's on there this year?
Who?
Pine Bluff. Arkansas, Pine Bluff, and Troy. Now, Troy is not a pushover.
Not bad, yeah. And KU's on there. But anyway, Mizzou does this every year where they go 6-0, and it's mid-October, and, oh, my gosh, this is a playoff team. And then they play A&M or somebody and get waxed, and it's like, okay, back to reality a little bit here. That was Team USA last night. And when you look into it, and I read a lot of stuff from the guys who know more than we do, or at least claim to. And the guy that was on Veasan before we came on said, you know, it would have benefited Team USA if they'd been in a group with somebody good. Because, you know, if they'd have played in Argentina or somebody like that and then finished second in the group and still advanced, they'd have been prepared for what they saw last night.
Exactly. That's a very good point. Extremely good.
And so last night they run into their first legitimate opponent of the year and they get waxed. And the goalkeeper had a Bill Buckner moment there that really kind of was the turning point.
And I agree with you, fully agree with you. When he left his goal and decided he was going to disrupt the pass, well, it turns out that was a big mistake. Now, he left a defender back there, but that defender was way off balance and not a goalie.
Yeah, and the guy just had basically an open net, to shoot into. And, you talk about taking the air out of an entire country. That play did, because it's still 2-1 at that point, and the USA's got hope. And hey, if we can get this tied, maybe win it in extra time or go to penalty kicks. You always got a chance in that. Instead, you're down 3-1, and maybe there wasn't much time left. When there like 10 minutes.
I've got to tell you, in watching the game, when it reached the 90-minute mark, I thought, well, let's see, extra time usually about 10, 15 minutes. Seems like it. I don't think there was more than four or 5 minutes.
No.
It was over in a hurry.
And so all the side stories. And again, by the way, our lineup today, Jon Leamy, the Missouri State former soccer coach, Hall of Famer, is going to join us to break it down for us from somebody who knows soccer. And Coach Leamy come on at 7:15.
You mean to tell me you don't think we do?
I think we're just pretending, kind of like the USA was. We're pretending we're contenders on talking soccer. We're not. But then Corey Riggs at 7:35. I know Corey's a big soccer fan. He'll have thoughts. Phil Steele, the Phil Steele Coffee Table Preview book that you've not got a hold of
Comes
yet.
Comes out today.
A little bit late for the 8 o'clock interview, but Phil Steele will be joining us at 8 o'clock. And, of course, I
must tell you, I have explained that. Folks, I need this thing. We're interviewing the guy, and the answer was tough blank.
Yeah. Great toilet reading, too, the Phil Steele book is, because there's so much to digest after you've already digested and trying to get rid of the stuff you digested. Phil Steele at 8, and then T-Bear at 8:30. We'll talk auto racing. But, rough night for the U.S. I'm sure the mood down at Mumbles 1888 and other places that had watch parties turned dim pretty quick, down a goal already 9 minutes in, and was reading quotes from the Belgian captain. And, yeah, they were fired up about the Balogun suspension reversal. They had a team meeting after that was announced that he would play. And they said, we have not started well in any match in this World Cup. We need to come out and start well. And they came out, they punched the USA in the mouth, and the USA didn't respond.
As a matter of fact, the first goal from Belgium almost appeared to be a point-blank shot right in front of the net. Now, USA did tie it. The Tillman kid hit a penalty kick. But see, that's a penalty kick. That's not. It is in the context of the competition, but it's not in the scrum, so to speak. And then here comes Belgium right back. 3 minutes later, or something like that.
Yeah, a little flurry there, and it's 2-1, and stayed that way for the longest time until the goalie error made it 3-1. And 3-1 in soccer in the second half is like being up 42-14 going into the fourth quarter of a football game. You're going to have something weird happen for you to get back.
Kind of like Arkansas Notre Dame last year.
Yeah. Except that'd been like a 4-0 soccer league lead at that point. But so just not a good night. A lot of the analysis was talking about, was this a successful World Cup for the USA? And we'll ask Jon Leamy that here in about 10 minutes. But they won a knockout round game because they added an extra round to the knockout. Their group wasn't very good. They beat Bosnia and Herzegovina in a round of 32 game, which there'd never been that extra round.
This is a 48-team field this year, and they've never had that before.
And so, from that standpoint, it was great that they got here, and the country was excited. I was thinking, who else it's really costing money are all the bars and places like that, because the true soccer fans will go to like a Mumbles 1888 because they're there to watch Spain and all the teams, the good teams that are left. But the casual fan like you and I, I'll have it on, but I won't pay attention probably until I hear goal, and I'll look up and see how it was scored, because the rest of it in the middle of the field just doesn't do it for me.
At my office, which is a euphemism, I'm sitting there. I wonder what will happen if. So we did. We're pains in the behind to a lot of people. And there was maybe 25, 30 people in the office. Turned on the Cardinals-Brewers game.
Yeah.
5 minutes. Get this out of here.
The Cardinal game or
Cardinals game?
Yeah.
Had to have the soccer game on.
Yeah. The blowback for not having it on?
They were very angry.
And they were probably saying, well, there's 162 baseball games. There's only one USA World Cup. But, but think of the lost revenue locally and nationally of the places that aren't known soccer gathering holes, and the people that were going out to watch this and having parties and the TV stations that everybody and their brother were in wanted to be in the World Cup because everybody be watching. Well, that's gone now in terms of everybody watching now. So it'll just be a different world. And it's kind of sad because I kind of wanted to see, Ben Taylor said it best. He thought the USA would win yesterday, but that the road would end probably this Friday in the next round.
And when you take a look at how the USA lost the game, you made a very good point. Their pool was pretty easy. Mm-hmm. Well, and we're talking in relative terms, of course. But they had a good chance to excel, and that did create a lot of, I won't call it false excitement, but it was a lot of excitement that really hadn't been proven yet. I do decry, and I did read some stories where the intervention, so to speak, of the presidential phone call had a lot to do with that. Is nonsense, absolute nonsense.
Yeah, the only people that it fired, I saw things that said it was a no-win situation for Team USA, because if they won, everybody like, oh, well, you got Balogun eligible because your president got involved and blah blah blah. And if you lost, it's like we're talking today. What happened,
Mm-hmm.
But. The only thing that it did is when Belgium says that it did fire them up, because it was like you've got governmental intervention here that has allowed them, and he was a non-factor. I think he had one shot on goal the entire night.
He was not even present, so to speak.
We talk about coming out and punching in the mouth. I remember looking up and seeing I think the graphic said shots were 7-0 and shots on goal were 3-0, and that was maybe 15 minutes in. So Belgium came out with a flurry, and their captain said, hey, if we come out and get after them early, they'll make mistakes. And they made mistakes.
He was right.
Yeah.
How about this, though, for a little factoid? This is a 3-nation hosted event this year. Mexico, Canada, and USA, all 3 out.
Yeah. Good luck. Well, the crowds will still be there because these other countries that care more about it than we do, they'll still come in. And Kansas City's got one, I believe Saturday. Is it Friday?
I think it's Friday.
Friday this week. The other match yesterday, Spain moves on. They beat Portugal 1-0. Ronaldo's World Cup career comes to an end there. 2 matches today to complete the quarterfinals. The round of 8 will be heading up this Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Argentina and Egypt at 11 a.m. our time, and then Switzerland and Colombia playing a 3 o'clock. So that's interesting that there's no evening match today, isn't it? I mean, we've always had a prime time 7 o'clock.
Usually, yes, there is a prime time. Is there none today?
There's not one tonight. Yeah, both of them are day matches today.
Interesting.
So we'll talk more about the USA World Cup with Jon Leamy coming up here in about 5 minutes. Elsewhere, Ned mentioned the Cardinals and Brewers. The Brewers take game 1 in the series, 4-3, the final. Had a 4-run inning for Milwaukee, 2-run doubles by David Hamilton and Bryce Terang that charged back from an early deficit. Dustin May pitched well on 3 days rest, but it could only go, 4 2/3, I think,
4 2/3.
he was out of there. So the Cardinals fall 4-3 in that opener. Day-night doubleheader today. St. Louis gets to see the Miz this morning.
He's in the afternoon game, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, Jacob Misiorowski throwing the day game. Of course, he's the guy that's Missouri native. Played at Crowder College, pitched down there. He's 9-4 with a 1.7 ERA, and he's the guy with the fastball that's been clocked at 105.5 miles per hour. Cardinals have not announced their pitchers for today. I assume they will have some today for both games.
They may. One of those games may be a bullpen start.
Yeah. And then I think Kyle Harrison will throw for Milwaukee in the evening game. So that's a great young 1-2 punch Milwaukee's got with Misiorowski and Harrison.
Thought the description yesterday, I described this as an important, certainly not a critical series. It's 5 games, and that's now 4. But it is important in regards to how the front office is going to view this. If the Cardinals can win a couple of games and maintain at least a focal point on the wild card, hey, they may decide, who knows how Chaim Bloom is thinking, but they may decide to make some deals one way or the other. If they get swept in this thing and get knocked out pretty early, I think probably that ends any kind of thought of a trade deadline. Trade deadline's at the end of this month. It's coming up. And that's certainly a decisive point, I think, in the Cardinal scheme of things.
Sorry about that.
You're right,
had water go down the wrong way there. I heard you and Art talk about it on my drive to Rivercut yesterday, and I kind of agree with Art. I don't think they're going to sway from their course. I mean,
no.
And you're right. I mean, it just may solidify their thought that, hey, you know what? We're still building for the future. We're not there yet. There's no piece or part we can get that's going to help us change that now, but there are pieces and parts we can give to maybe get more of what we're looking for to build. And I think that's probably, a Newt Barr, a Dustin May. I don't know about the other pitchers because they kind of come and go in terms of the great efforts, but I think May would be the one. He makes the most money, I think, $12 million a year?
Yeah, but he's also a free agent, I believe.
Yeah. So, you want to trade him. August 3rd, I think, is the deadline on Monday.
It is. August 3rd.
You want to get something for him if you can, so I think he would be a candidate. But a couple other baseball notes, and we'll get the rest of the stuff after our interviews. But in the world of dogs and cats living together, the Royals beat Christopher Sanchez and the Phillies 15-1. That's baseball. There'll be days you're like, how the heck did that happen? That was one of those days for the Royals against Philadelphia's new ace, a guy that doesn't do that very often.
50 2/3 scoreless innings earlier this season, and it gets lit up by the Royals.
6 runs in the first, 9 runs in his 3 innings allowed, worst start of his career. The Royals get 22 hits, 4 home runs, and all this without Bobby Witt Jr. driving in a run of their 15.
Was it Tyler Tolbert?
Tyler Tolbert, Luke Maley, Lane Thomas, and Salvi were the 4 home runs yesterday. If you bet that, you are now a millionaire. Congratulations, because they do those home run prop bets there as well. But
exactly.
So the Royals get the 15-1 win. That's Tolbert's first career 5-hit game. Another one of those guys that I had to go look up and to reaffirm who he is.
22 hits.
Yeah, first 5-hit game by a Royal since 2022. If you had Tyler Tolbert down as being the next Royal to get a 5-hit game, congratulations. And then Carter Jensen didn't even play yesterday. He's probably been their hottest hitter the last couple of weeks. So to tell you how much one bad start can mess with a guy's ERA, Christopher Sanchez's ERA for the season jumped from 2.00 to 2.62. He went up half a run.
He stayed within two. Oh my God.
I'm surprised he jumped that much because, I mean, he's probably, pushing 80, 90 innings probably at this point.
Well, he had 50 and 2/3 there during that scoreless streak.
Yeah, and so for 3 2/3 innings of bad to jump you half a run, that's a bad start.
Did you see any of the replays at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Well, when he left the mound, he had kind of an odd smirk on his face, like, what in the hell just happened here?
Yeah, and I think he had one of those against the Cubs earlier this season, the same thing.
That's right, yeah.
But in between those, he's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
All-star.
So kind of a shocker there. Royals are starting a series at the Mets starting tonight. And let's see, his pitching matchup there is Seth Lugo for the Royals, and the Mets have not announced their starter yet. A lot of these teams are juggling their rotation to come out of the All-Star break with the guys they won that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slots. So that's why you see a lot of indecision in that regard. Lastly, a battle for first place starts tonight in the Texas League. The Cardinals down in Tulsa. Texas League was the first half champion. They are the Dodgers AA farm team. They were 46 and 23 in the first half. They're 8 and 4 this half, one game behind Springfield in the early going. So that'll be starting up tonight through Sunday. Let's take a break.
We will take a timeout on the starting lineup and be right back. And we welcome you back to the starting lineup, and many thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. Ned Reynolds along with
Scott Purrier.
And a special guest.
Yeah, we don't know much about soccer, so we bring in people who do. And one of our good buddies, a guy that we loved covering back when he was coaching the Missouri State Bears. He's a Hall of Famer. We welcome in former Bears coach Jon Leamy. Jon, good morning.
Well, thank you, Ned and Scott. It's a pleasure to be on with you guys this morning.
I guess general overall first impressions, reaction from Team USA's 4-1 loss to Belgium last night. What were your thoughts as you're watching that?
We need to call it the way it is. It was really disappointing. It really was. I thought from the get-go, Belgium came out and established themselves, and our goalkeeper made a good save. I thought that one had a chance to get in, so he made a good first save. And he was somebody that, honestly, that I had questions about. Didn't know that much about him, certainly playing on the international level. He plays in MLS, but, he emerged as the starter, this past, particularly, past few months. So, I think, okay, he made a good save. Here we go. And then the goal we gave up was just, it was horrendous. I thought it was a poor clear. The ball, was headed back into the box area, and we had several players around it, and the ball bounced, and the Belgian player just kind of took it, went in the freaking goal, and scored. And that was just, from a defensive standpoint, just a really soft goal. So it was hard to see that happen.
Jon, when that did happen, it occurred to me. Now, the goalie left his post, and it looked like he wanted to disrupt the pass or maybe try to intercept before the kick got in. Is that a technique that you teach?
Yeah, with the goalies, Ned, they try to read, and it's really they really have to be intelligent and know their geometry, with cutting angles and what they can and can't do. But I think once it got by him, I'm not going to say that, he needed to come up with it, because I think a lot of the problems happened in front of him with the kind of a fairly poor clearance, letting a ball bounce that they took and went to goal. So, they had a couple other chances. I thought Belgium could have had 2-3 goals earlier in the game, but then we responded, with that free kick, and that the Tillman, that's his second free kick goal, and it skimmed off one of their heads. And but it went in, so you're back in the game. But then to give a goal up right afterwards again was, it was just tough. It was tough. And the second goal we gave up, the blunder with our goalkeeper, and not clearing a ball. I mean, that's just real poor fundamentals. So I mean, it was tough to see this happen. We shouldn't expect this to happen from our national team at this point if we're going to challenge to be competitive to compete for a World Cup.
The head coach, Mauricio Pochettino, there was talk about him getting an extension and coaching in 2030. After what we saw last night, do you think that's kind of put on hold? And how much can a coach do? You were on the sidelines for 30 years at Missouri State. How much can a coach do in situations like last night? I mean, you can only substitute so many guys that are better than what you have out there, and you can't play for them.
Yeah, and Scott, I'm sorry, you broke a little bit, but I think I got the gist of you. Pochettino, the coach, 4 years is a long time to the next World Cup, and I wouldn't be surprised, if he wants to get back, quote unquote, into club coaching, he would do a pro team, and of course they play, a full long, 9-month season. So I think there's a lot of speculation that, he might end up going back into that. We could have him for the next 4 years, but Scott, a lot of the guys that come in to coach, they don't need the 4 years. They want to come in, the last year and a half, 2 years, and then they can take the side and try to get it prepared for big tournaments and whatnot, because they're not that involved sometimes with the development side of cultivating, our country with players. They're more of the, hey, I need the best. I'm going to put a team together, and we're going to win the big games. So I would not be surprised if he lays low for a while, takes a club job, or, maybe he does. Maybe he likes it, and, it's a different pace and it's a different lifestyle when you're a national team coach because you're not doing it every day.
John, you just made a very interesting point, kind of encapsulating the situation, too. Scott brought this up earlier. This was a 48-team tournament this year, first time that's happened. Scott speculates that maybe the USA was in a very easy pool, and that was a little bit misleading for everybody. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, the team going from 32 to 48, I know they want to get more, and let's say, it's about money. I mean,
sure.
There's no doubt with World Cups and FIFA, money drives it, and it's a long tournament. I mean, you got teams that have to come in, prepare, do their camps, whether they're overseas, then come over to the States, usually get settled, do their camps before the tournament starts. But you're talking 6-7 weeks if you're going to make a run and win a championship. So it's a very long tournament. It's spread out more than it has been. And, of course, we've incorporated 3 countries with Canada, U.S., and Mexico. U.S., of course, getting the majority of the games. But, when you have those group plays, so you've got, brackets of 4 teams. First and second are going to get through. But then 8 out of the next 12 third places go through. And I don't think we need that. I mean, it's a little bit more of an all-comers, and I get it. They want to stretch it. They want to keep fans here that travel, tourism, and some of those things. But it changed the tournament. So I think it's a little bit more of a false read that when you used to have to get out of your group, you had to be top 2. But right now, you could be top 3 for the most part, and you're going to advance with your play, Ned. So I think that's a very good point. So, and I think what we're seeing with some of these games, particularly this week, I mean, these are the cutthroat games. These are the ones that are going to show you've got a team that can do this, or you got a team that's not ready to do this.
But by the same token, economically, where else are you going to run into a group of fans who will drink all the beer in Boston, right?
Okay.
I'm
sorry, Ned. I think I lost you again a little bit.
Not a big deal. Go ahead, John.
Hey,
okay,
John. Did we? I think Christian Pulisic had a World Cup to forget. It was the calf injury early on. Then last night he hurts an ankle and has to sit out the second half. For those of us who just watch this, basically when it crops up with the World Cup, he's better than what we saw. Correct? I mean, if you're Captain America, you got to be pretty good.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, what is Captain America? Because this is a World Cup where I mean, it's been a fantastic World Cup when we look at it because the world stars are showing up. Erling Haaland, that plays for Norway, he's banging goals. He's got 7 of them, and he's now moved, Norway into the next round. You've got Mbappe for France. He's been a part of a World Cup win. He's got 7 goals. He's going to help put a team on his back. Messi, God bless him, he's 38 years old, but he still creates and does a lot of unbelievable things. He has 7 goals, and he very well could have 9 or 10. So, you go to England. You look at Harry Kane. Harry Kane puts a team on his back. He scores the goals when they need to. Pulisic hasn't done it. He's not in that class. At least with this tournament, he hasn't shown that he is this world player. And I think sometimes, guys, more fanfare's coming to the players. The money's unbelievable. Pulisic plays overseas in Italy, and he's a good player over there. He is a good player. Now, is he like a couple of these other players? I'm not sure about that. But, the TV commercials, you're getting the money, and then you're like, you know what, we almost just need some more blue collar. Like, hey, we're going to get in here, and we are going to work.
Uh-oh.
Kind of have that Americanism that from a Clint Dempsey or a Brian McBride. You can go back to a Landon Donovan. Some of these guys that really had a chip on their shoulder that were like, hey, we got to come in here. We're going to fight, and we got to prove it. Now, we've got more talented players, but, we've got to really bust to get over the hump. And last night was tough to see. Belgium's a good team, but they're not the best team in the world on paper. They're not.
John, before we let you go, I wanted to ask you, as a coach, what happened in the 48 to 72 hours leading up to last night's match with Balogun and the White House intervention to get the suspension suspended with a red card? As a country, USA, we were all excited because our top strikers going to get to play, but it looked like, talking to the Belgian players afterward, that fired them up and got them, motivated. As a coach, you don't want anything like that happening, do you, right before a match to provide any kind of motivation for the opponent? Do you think that happened last night?
No. Yeah, that whole thing, it gets weird, Scott. And, boy, I know I've had a lot of conversations about the red card with Balogun. And, oh, my gosh, I mean, initially the referee didn't make the call on the field. They go to a VAR, a review system, sees it, red card. It was unfortunate. I don't think there was any intent, but sometimes when you make calls, it doesn't matter if there was intent, Uh-huh. You accidentally put the hockey stick under a guy's mask and gouged his eye. Mm-hmm. He didn't mean to do it, but it did happen. So you've got to look at some of these things and go, okay, so we end up dealing with this red card they came back at, and of course we're all up in uproar. But FIFA is an organization that has a long history of making some decisions and doing some things. And President Trump, I got no problem with him. He made a phone call, and he did. He stood up for his country. We are hosting this thing, and he made the call. Then FIFA, and they've changed the rules, or they've looked at their rules a little bit differently. They had a committee, and they made the call that they were going to kind of put the red card on a probationary period for a year. So he got to play, but, for gosh sakes, that fired up the world. I mean, Belgium was absolutely going to use this for motivation, especially the day before a game. I mean, does it take that long to say you're going to change it? UEFA, which is the governing body of Europe, came out strongly that they disagreed with FIFA. So you've got the governing body of soccer in Europe saying they disagree. So, yeah, it was definitely going to be a hornet's nest. I think that team was going to play, and they were going to be professional no matter what. But that was bulletin board material.
Before we let you go, does this set back USA Soccer in any way? I mean, the overall picture of what happened with the World Cup on our soil and the outcome, or is it continuing to go in the right direction?
Yeah, no, it's going in the right direction, Scott. And I know I sound like that old guy because I am getting older. And we had a commission put together that we were going to win a World Cup in 2018. That was a goal. And then 2022, and then we're at 2026, and the United States was going to get out of their group. Canada was going to get out of their group, and Mexico was going to get out of their group. That's almost a common courtesy now when you host World Cups. So the group play is misleading. But when we really start getting into some of the knockouts, that's when we've got to step up. But we've got to analyze the process. We got to keep getting better athletes. Americans are used to winning. Americans should expect to win. We just had a hockey team that took care of Canada again. And Canada is the hockey country. So toe-to-toe, we took them down. And I think Americans want to see it. A little bit more difficult with soccer because it is a global sport. It's played everywhere. And just look at the improvements that are going on with the African nations, with South Africa and Congo, Morocco. Morocco's got a very good team that's advanced. So you've got so many good entities that can play the sport, but we really, really have to attack this thing to break through. And I think we're ready to break through. The great news with this World Cup is I think we're exposing the sport for all its good and all its bads, because it is the worst sport in the world at times, and it is the greatest sport in the world at times. When you're especially trying to put some countries and cultures that have nothing in common except that ball, but how they treat it on the field can be different, such as faking injuries, doing this, doing that, gamesmanship to get every advantage. So it's a tough sport. You've got one referee that's in a 75 by 120-yard field for the most part, and you got two linesmen. So a lot of stuff happens out there, and it's hard to make sense out of it. And, there's not justice sometimes that you're like, boy, it needs to be this way. And you got to deal with it. You got to keep your heads. You got to be strong, and you just kind of keep battling. But, hey, we've exposed our country, I think, more than anything. And it's so good to hear from so many people that are like, hey, I didn't know this was like this over here and there. And just some of the great stories of how good of a country we are. That has been just awesome, seeing so many visitors come here and just enjoy the facilities, enjoy the states, and enjoy our environment that we have in the greatest country in the world.
Jon Leamy won 309 matches in 30 years at Missouri State, been retired since the 2021 season. Ned, I think Jon Leamy for Team USA head coach in 2030 is our push now.
Jon Leamy won nothing. Jon Leamy won nothing. There was a lot of great players and great staff that helped put that together as a team with every win. And the losses throw at me, no problem, but it's a team effort. We're going to need one again to build this thing. We got 4 years and we got a cycle, and we're going to have to qualify. This cup we get in automatically because we host. Now we got to make sure we qualify, and we've had years that we didn't qualify. Hey, guys, there's teams like Italy. Italy hasn't been to a World Cup for 3 straight cups. That's really bizarre to see something like that. So they're not givens. You got to appreciate every game you got, but we need to get in there, and we're ready to make a bang that we can get into a semifinal type game, at least a quarterfinal, semifinal game.
He's our Captain America, Jon Leamy. We appreciate his time.
And do not downplay yourself, John. You would still be a great international coach and a great USA coach. You would be.
All right. Hey, John, we appreciate it. Thanks for your time, and we'll catch up with you, okay?
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
The veteran former Missouri State soccer coach Jon Leamy visiting with his timeout. Back in a second. And the starting lineup is brought to you by Play It Again Sports, by Swing Right Golf, by Marshfield Chevrolet, and by Citizens Bank of Rogersville. Ned Reynolds with
Scott Purrier.
And a guest.
Special guest on Tuesday mornings at 7:30-ish is always Corey Riggs, the voice of the Missouri State Bears. Corey, good morning.
Good morning, guys. The reason why I picked 7:30 when we started this, Scott, was I didn't think I'd have to follow anybody like my friend Jon Leamy, and you guys brought Coach Leamy on to talk soccer before me. I don't like when I got to follow a legend like that.
It's like Gene Bartow after John Wooden, isn't it? A little bit there. Yeah. Wanted to ask you. You are a soccer follower, and you did make an appearance at Mumbles 1888 for the one of the matches earlier. Your reaction last night after our Captain America, Jon Leamy, gave his reaction and analysis. What were your thoughts?
Well, it was a gut punch. It's an awful end, and normally, like Ned, I can be a little critical of the talking heads that cover the sport. I'm not a huge Alexi Lawless fan, but I thought what Lawless said after the match last night was the most appropriate thing, which was Coach Pochettino, Pulisic and the entire team, they picked a really bad night to have a really bad night. The American soccer dream comes to an end early again. But I agree with Lawless. I agree with Coach Leamy that the positives that come out of it, the exposure to soccer, and maybe for me, guys, I'm a little greedy in the fact that I think the greatest thing to come out of this World Cup is how many people visited our country and are going to leave, not just talking about ranch dressing or Buc-ee's, but just about how well they were treated and how great the experience was here, because there were a lot of those social media drops early on where people were talking about, man, there were Australians that were here that were like, this is not at all what I expected. These people aren't at all what I expected. And I just hope it was a really, really good advertisement for the American people, the American sports fan, and to the rest of the world.
Hallelujah. And the point to do, again, encapsulate what you're saying and what Jon Leamy and others have said. Hey, we get a bad rap, and we get a bad rap because all the stories in this country from my friends in the media and so forth portray us as being not what we really are. And this was a wonderful exposure to it. I fully agree.
I feel like I should have Lee Greenwood music playing underneath this segment now. The Pulisic, I was just thinking, he pretty much had a Chet Holmgren Western Conference Finals moment, didn't he, for the Team USA. Pulisic was Captain America and was pretty non-existent, I think, throughout the deal too as well. So, well, Corey, we've got, of course, the fall sports season about 6 weeks away, give or take a couple weeks. Missouri State men's and women's soccer, maybe a chance to talk about them a little bit. Where are those programs right now in the grand scale of things? And honestly, tell me where they're playing league-wise, how that setup is with everything else moving to Conference USA.
Well, it's a split, honestly, Scott. Unfortunately, Conference USA doesn't offer every sport that the Missouri Valley Conference did. So last year was kind of a unique transition year. Now, Kirk Nelson and the women's team play in Conference USA, and they had a very successful season. When you look back on the numbers from a season ago and see that they made it all the way to the Conference USA tournament, had a chance to take down the number one team, Liberty. Liberty was a team that they played to a scoreless tie earlier in the season, which was their first point as a member of Conference USA. They finished a couple of games under 500. The women did, I think, 7-9-4, but got 5 wins on the road. So really this year, kind of what they're hoping to do is just be a little bit more successful at home. They went 2-3-3 just there across the street from Hammond Student Center. And hopefully that will be a change for them, and they'll have their footing a little bit more sure under them in this second year in Conference USA. The transition was much bigger for Michael Seabolt's men's team, though, because without a spot in Conference USA, they joined the American Conference. And, of course, you guys hear the same thing I hear. There's a lot of conversations about Missouri State and the American and whether or not we should end up moving there in a couple of years for football, basketball, and everything else. That seems to be a very popular next stop as opposed to what I would like to do, which is, I don't know, stay in Conference USA for a couple of years and win some titles before we start talking about going somewhere else. But that's just my opinion. But, they had another successful campaign last year. But moving to the American Conference, I can still remember I interviewed Coach Seabolt right after the announcement, and he said, you need to understand, Corey, we're moving to a P4 conference now because there really is only 3 power conferences in the world of men's college soccer, and they consider the American to be the fourth. So it is a much higher level of competition that they took on last year, and they took their lumps at time for. So there's been changes on the roster. They've brought in a new assistant coach in Tyler Hoffman, and we'll try and tackle a very tough American schedule again this year in what will be year 2 for that league.
We talked about it last week, kind of quiet on campus right now. I think a lot of the programs took a holiday week to kind of catch their breath and be with family and do those things. But we are in the event season of things coming up, and I know that the annual sneaker soiree coming up, that's one of them. Coach Woods and the Football Players Association have a big dinner coming up later this month. I believe the sneaker soiree is Saturday, August 1st, correct?
That's correct. Back at Great Southern Bank Arena this year for another year, and always just such a great event. You know, Coach Leamy, Kerry Dickerson, and the Missouri State Foundation team do a great job along with the athletic department on putting that event on. And it is still to this day, you know, one of the single largest fundraisers for the Bears athletic department. And Ned, I know this may be hard to believe, but this is the 40th installment of the sneaker soiree, started by the living legend Bill Rowe now 40 plus years ago, but it is still going strong here on campus.
And indeed a very big deal. Of course, sneaker soiree is a newly adopted name for it. It was actually the Ozarks' largest garage sale when they first started 40 years ago, and it was in the Hammond Student Center. And that was rudimentary compared to what goes on now, but it was a big, big deal, and lots of folks came from all around to be a part of it, and a huge fundraiser. It's very well put, Corey.
When do the football players report and can actually officially start drills? Do you have that date? Or because I mean I would think, is it late July, first week of August to get ready for the A&M opener?
Yep, it'll be late July. So ironically enough, you mentioned Friday, July 24th, Casey Woods will have his Missouri State kickoff dinner. That's going to be at the Dar Agricultural Center. And you can find information about that event on the Missouri State Football Players Association website. That's MissouriStateFootball.org. If you want to get a table, sponsor a table, come out to that event. It's going to be great. But I actually ran into Coach Woods completely accidentally yesterday, as he had 3 of his kids with him, and 2 of his daughters were taking part in Coach Stephen McRoberts' Young Bears volleyball camp. So I ran into Casey and asked him how things were going, and they are in their I don't want to say vacation period, but off period, and they've got a lot of things going on. They've got one assistant coach that's getting married, a lot of family vacations going on, but he said the coaches will be back on the 21st, 22nd of July. Ironically enough, that's when I'm getting back from my vacation, so I unknowingly timed that out pretty well. And then the following week, it will be the beginning of fall camp, and the grind will begin and the preparation will begin to go down to what will be arguably the most hostile environment Missouri State ever plays in, with 104,000 screaming Aggie fans in College Station to open up this college football season. And I tell you what, there's a ton of people and excitement and talk already out there about it, simply because of this. In 2 days, on July 9th, the NCAA college football video game will drop for the Xbox and PlayStation. It is a wild deal. When that started a year or 2 ago, players, Scott, were getting like $600 and a free copy of the video game. This year, that number has jumped up to $1,500 if you give up your name, image, and likeness to be in the game. You get $1,500 and a copy of the game.
That's awesome. Matter of fact, my son at dinner last night said he's headed to the store to get one, or download it, or however they get it these days now. I do notice that there are ticket packages for fans for the A&M and SMU games there in the first month of the season. Seems kind of weird looking at the schedule and seeing September 5th as the opener, since we've got so used to like an August 30th or 31st. Is that just the way the schedule fell for the Bears this year? No late August game?
It is, and you guys may remember this. I'm not certain on all the details of it, but there is a world in which college football is kind of restructuring their schedule overall, the complete landscape, and kind of moving week 1 up into what we used to call week 0, that last week of August. That way they can start the playoffs a little bit earlier because, of course, what do we all want to talk about? We want to talk about the college football playoffs and the expansion of that field. So I think you're going to see everything kind of adjust over the next year because of the elimination, if you will, of week 0, moving everything up. So eventually the big boys can get more teams in the playoff and have a deeper playoff run and hopefully be done before the Super Bowl is played.
Very good, Corey. Enjoy your vacation time. Are you heading out, or are you just kind of laying low locally? What's the plan?
Oh, no. So we didn't get to celebrate much in February, but Maggie and I celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary in February. So I have owed her a trip back to Italy for about 20 years, and I'm going to pay that off later this week. We'll fly over and spend about a week in Tuscany up in northern Italy. Then we're going to ride the bullet train down to the Amalfi Coast and spend 5 or 6 days there on the beach, on the water, and then come home and get ready to get to work. And I will be taking the newest installment of the Phil Steele football preview with me to read on the plane. I've already got my copy and cannot wait to read about the 10 Missouri State football players that Phil picked on his preseason All-Conference USA team. So that'll be a little light reading for me on a very long plane ride across the ocean.
Well, happy anniversary, and I'm going to guess, Ned, that he gets about a third of the way through that magazine if he reads it on the entire flight.
Will not make it through.
Yeah.
You will not. That's an absolute promise.
Yeah, find some soccer players over there that might have been born in the U.S. or something, if you can, and bring them back too, okay?
Got it. They say we're going to try at least and find the AC Fiorentino Stadium there in Florence when we get to town. I've got at least one soccer stop in me.
There you go. Corey, thanks, and enjoy your vacation. We appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
You too.
Corey Riggs, Missouri State University. Timeout on the starting lineup. Be right back. And those St. Louis Cardinals will be here this afternoon when they play the day game, of course. Here for every game, but day game today and then a night game. It's a day-night doubleheader. Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers, and we're thinking that Jacob Misiorowski may get the call for the first game this afternoon. Over and above that, stretch run, what do we have?
Yeah, second hour, we're going to talk football with Phil Steele of the Phil Steele magazine. Started back in 1995, humble beginnings as a black and white newspaper print edition, and now it's a coffee table book that you leave out for the entire year when you need to look something up, or in Corey's case, when you've got a 10-hour overseas flight. Great reading there for that. But Phil Steele at 8 o'clock, and then at 8:30, we're going to visit with T-Bear, Trenton Berry, talk about last week's NASCAR race in Chicago. We'll talk about the Lucas Oil races. Went up and spent some time with T-Bear last Thursday, and more there with Trenton Berry. So that's our second hour, and getting to it here in just a few seconds.
We will indeed. So please stay right where you are because we have some very entertaining as well as informative sports talk going on. I really thought Jon Leamy did a great job of talking a little bit about USA soccer.
He's our Captain America.
He is.
Yeah.
He is Captain America and did a great job of it. And, hey, don't give up. He lost the game, but, hey, because Belgium was a better team. All right, take a quick timeout. This is our mid-show timeout on the starting lineup. Brief break and then much more coming up. Stay right where you are.